Alright, what's up guys? We're back with Suduce Me the Otome. Yes, we're back here again. And, can you see my cursor? I think you can. I just realized, that's not a thing I want you to see on this game. Yeah. I imagine that drives people crazy, seeing my cursor. Completely forgot about doing that. Anyway, you shouldn't be able to see my cursor now, so that's cool. Let's load it back up. 5, 4. Alright, cool. I'm sorry. I yawned. I sighed and covered myself with my blankets, waiting tonight to end. I needed tomorrow to come. School would take my mind off of things. If school actually happened anyway. I woke that morning, minutes before my alarm. I felt slightly groggy, but I didn't exactly feel bad. It was more of a physical exhaustion with a mind ready to take on the day. I stretched and quickly changed into my clothes before heading downstairs with my bag. As I reached the lobby, I stopped and sniffed the sudden new smell in the air. Breakfast? I continued my way to the dining room to see Diane laying out a plate covered with sliced fruit. On the table, there were delicious smelling eggs, toast, bacon, ham, veggies, and juice. I felt my mouth salivate. But then I remembered that it was Diane serving breakfast and I shook my head. What are you doing? Ah, you're up. Come, breakfast? I forgot her voice. Ah, you're up. Come, breakfast. I didn't know what you liked, so I made everything I knew humans ate for this time of day. I walked over and scanned the table before giggling. Diane raised an eyebrow at me. What is so funny? Tongue. Fuck. You didn't make everything related to breakfast. Or breakfast related. You forgot a couple things. Like what? Coffee, pancakes, waffles? Diane looked almost insulted before looking at the table and recounting the plates. I laughed harder, making her glare at me. I haven't been in a human world long enough to know everything, alright? Unlike the boys, I know little to nothing about what you humans eat in your homes. At the mention of the boys, I suddenly remembered them. They treated me like part of their family, caring for me and making sure I was okay beyond anything else. They were servants to me, and I let them go. I allowed a sigh at the memory. Little did I know that Diane stared at me the entire time. I shook my head and looked at the table, getting an empty plate and filling it with what I wanted before sitting and eating. Diane remained standing, watching me. I felt almost naked upon her gaze, so I looked over, pausing my eating. Aren't you going to eat? I already ate. What did you eat? I really wish to know. I ate your soul, bitch. Yes! I wanted to know more about demons. I wanted to know more about her. Of course I said yes. Diane stared in surprise at me before smirking a bit and reaching into her cleavage. I watched as she pulled out a small purple vial. She popped the cork and poured a mere couple sip fuels into her palm before recorking the vial and placing it back in her dress. Diane closed her eyes and closed her hand. What was she doing? This was odd to watch. At the same time, I was practically at the edge of my seat in curiosity. What was she going to do? She was going to make her food. Her hand started to open, almost like a blossoming flower, and reveal a small peach-sized fruit. It was purple and had almost an enhancing smell to it that made my food seem almost disgusting. A plant from the abysmal plain. We call it a sweet flower. Would you like to try it? Would it kill me? Just in case, off chance that this kills me. Off chance that this kills me. Yes. I nodded, staring at the fruit. It looked almost glorious and delectable. I couldn't resist grabbing onto the chance to try it. Diane nodded before cupping the fruit in both hands and pulling the purple flesh from the fruit, revealing a juicy blackish center, as if it was caught on the inside. Diane pulled out a perfect slice and handed it to me. I must say, you may be the first human to try this fruit. You should be considered yourself lucky. I nodded, not pulling my eyes away from the fruit slice in my hand. It was juicy and its clear juice painted over my fingers. I somehow didn't care. I wanted to try it and savor it. I lifted the small slice to my lips and took a small bite. Feeling ecstasy run through my mouth, I almost couldn't fight back the moan that was erupting from my throat. It was sweet, yet it was slightly tart. It was the perfect combination, and at the same time it felt so unnatural. I felt not only pleasure in my mouth, but my body began to feel energized and warm. All of that was from a small bite. I swallowed the biteful and let out a pleasurable sigh, making Dia smirk slightly at me with a raised eyebrow. I couldn't lie to her about how it tasted. It's delicious. That is it. That it is. They're natively grown in my kingdom, so I have the pleasure of enjoying these every day. You have a kingdom. I do. The boys were not only the only royals in the demon world, sweetie. I just so happened to be the princess. I stared in surprise. She was really a princess. How? She looked so mature. She was more of a queen than a princess. Really? You're a princess? You seem more like a queen. For a split second, I swear I saw Diane blush, but she started to laugh and shook my head up with thought. You flatter me, little girl. You best be careful. I may just take your flattery as an invitation to take your energy. I shut my mouth, feeling a blush run across my own cheeks. I returned to eating the fruit, hearing her chuckle as I eat the remainder of the fruit on their own. Surprisingly, I felt full just from the small slice. How could that be? The only explanation I had was that it was a demon fruit, so I merely accepted it as just that. What I didn't expect was Diane leaning over and lifting my chin to look down at me. Messy, aren't you? I stared as Diane came close and gently kissed my cheek by the corner of my lip, making me gasp slightly. What was she doing? Why was she kissing my cheek? I was red in the face already, and here she was taking advantage. Diane pulled away and slightly licked and popped her lips. Wah! You had a little juice on the side of your lip. It was bothering me. I ran a finger over where she kissed me and felt my red flesh grew even hotter. Diane chuckled slightly at the sight, making me almost glare at her. I didn't know if she was flirting with me or trying to embarrass me. Either way, she was winning. Eventually, my alarm started going off, reminding me to be ready for Naomi and Susie. Right, school was the thing. I stood from my chair and grabbed my bag, walking out of the dining room. And where are you going, my dears? I have school. I see. I looked at Diane, feeling that she was up to something. She had her arms crossed, looking at me as I owed her something. What? Well, I don't exactly want you to leave this house with a memory like that. I'll be breaking the rules if I allow that. But we had a deal. You stay for the day, keep my memories until you leave. I still have school to go to though. Skip school and stay home. What? That or I go with you. What? Diane was crazy to suggest going to my school. It was practically signing a death wish. Everyone would ask about me. What would I tell everyone? That's crazy. I can't let you leave this house with those memories unless I'm with you. Those are rules. Rules. Rules of the world, sweetie. Rules of the world. What's she talking about? Demon rules, bitch. I'm sorry. Rules to any magical being that lives in the human community. They were established on the day you humans might know as the birth date of Jesus Christ. Oh my God, Jesus Christ! Wait, so does that mean Christianity is legitimate? It's a story to some, religious faith to others. I won't deny or prove your religious existence because that's a human matter. Magical beings, on the other hand, don't pay attention unless they're angels from the world of heaven. My curiosity was piqued in my mind to like a fancy bird. I wanted to know more. Man was giving me answers, and I wanted to ask more questions. However, I had to go to school. I was important. Stay until you know these rules. If I go, I was trapped. There was no way I could bring Diane with me without some repercussions. If she took my memories now, then I'd go to school without remembering anything. However, if I stayed, I could learn more by missing. Yeah, I'd stay. I like to save at these little saving points. I have to go through these games again to kind of like change my options, but this is such a long game that I'm not going to be able to do that. Just to let you guys know, because I did that with a couple of the games that I played, which are admittedly long, but this is a long one. There's so many choices in this one. I'm trying to remember what like game I did. Like, well, the given is Misael and Mad Father, but like those are like RPG. Like those are story games, but not like visual novel story games. So it's easy to like go back and redo your choices because there's only like one or two choices that change what you're after. I'll stay. I bit my lip. Did I really want to stay? I could feel my fingers run over my phone to call up Naomi. Without even listening to the phone, I spoke into it. Hey girls, I'm feeling really sick. Don't worry about coming and come over. Staying home and getting better. I hung up without even acknowledging Naomi or Susie on the other end. Diane crossed her arms and waited for me to turn to her phone. They went back to the side and looked at Diane, ready to come on. Tell me everything. I'll do the best I can. I walked up the stairs with Diane behind me. I glanced into the dining room to see it already clean. I guess Diane used magic to clean up after us. I continued to walk into my room. I sat on my bed as Diane stood by the bottom of the window. It was just like last night. So I can ask anything and you'll answer me, right? I'll give you the best answer I can. Here. Knowing Diane, I could have been why. She already had hidden some details, but I guess she had her own. For those reasons. However, we need to know more than just details. There's the world. What are they? They are the heart and soul of the human world. Created and approved by all 5 worlds of the human date, December 25th. 5 worlds. In human terms, there is the human world, heaven, purgatory, hell, and abyss. Huh. What are the rules in this agreement? These rules dictate the behavior of other worldly creatures. In the human world, without them, there would be constant war between angels and devils, while the vampires would try and enslave humanity. Demons are merely watchers, but often the demons or vampires will try and coax them into joining them. So angels and vampires exist too. Angels are from heaven, which are over the human world. A careful eye. Vampires are from the human world, but pass on into purgatory before return. I say that this was all amazing, yet this wasn't satisfying my curiosity. I didn't want to know more. Did I want to know about demons? This was all a huge deal, and I felt both over and underwhelmed. I like this lady. So, there are these rules that rule over humans. Humans can't know about magic at all. Correct. Humans, the angels, need to remain pure and innocent. So they distract that humans stated stated, is that a word? That humans cannot know of the other worlds, or the other beings. The rest of us agree that only a select few are allowed to know the truth about us. But that's hardly fair, isn't it? Well, take a look at yourself. You're fairly proficient with magic. Your kind is too focused on who will fight the next war and who will screw the next person. I'm sorry to admit this, but humans are the weakest race in the planes of existence. The only ones who truly protect you are angels. I felt angry that she made humans sound inferior. Yeah, we had our faults, but it wasn't like any of the other races were better, right? There were no way humans were the inferior race. Of course we are. You don't have magic. No, you're not inferior. No, you're not now. Really. Dan stared at me, looking me up and down before smirking at it. Let's go on a little trip, shall we? I raised my eyebrow. What was she on about? First she wanted me to stay here, now she wanted me to go out. What was with this girl? Before I can protest, the world began to spin around me, forcing me to jump up and grab onto Diane. She held me as the room spun practically out of control. My fear escalated and I buried my face in her shoulder, wanting it to stop. If she was trying to prove a scary point, it was working. I felt the world slow down around me and soon come to a halt. I didn't want to look, but gently Diane pushed me away from her body for me to look around. I gasped when I realized that I was in a business office. What is going on? Where are we? Just a simple business office, nothing more. I looked around and felt an air of familiarity to this room. I couldn't figure out why, but my brain kept me aware that I knew this place somehow. I didn't get to think on it long. Suddenly a group of businessmen entered the room, stopping at the sight of Diane and me. What the? Who are you two? I froze. What was going to happen? We were going to be thrown out, get in trouble, and I wouldn't never be allowed out again. This was a mild nightmare. Diane giggled and stopped my thoughts. I looked up to see her smirking at the group of men, a hand by her lips. Why do you not know who we are? We're shamed. Diane guided me to a chair and sat me down before sitting on the table. I practically turned red and hiked her dress to where her entire leg slipped out from the slit. She crossed her legs and tossed her hair gently. Oh. Who are your employees? This lovely lady is the CEO of the company, and I am her personal secretary. You men have her on late. I stared at Diana as she stared down at the group of men like a tigress would have prey. The group collectively began to shuffle in nervousness. Surprisingly, were they really believing her mind? How? Diane smiled and lifted her leg slightly, making the men lean in for a possible panty shot. I couldn't help but feel both stunned and slightly jealous. One of you needs to come over here and kiss my foot in an apology. What? I looked to Diane's foot, seeing it gently bob in slight impatience. Was she seriously going to make one of them kiss her foot? They obviously couldn't be that proud by her enough to stoop so low. I let my thoughts become destroyed as I watched a man step out from the group, nervously, get on his knees in front of Diane, as he gently cradled her foot in his hands. I tensed and held my breath. No way. The man gently kissed over Diane's foot, making almost a sultry sigh escape her lips and sent a shiver down my spine. Diane smirked and leaned back on her hands, looking down at the man before her. My ankle next. Like an obedient servant, the man traveled his kiss to my ankles. Diane let her head fall back with another sigh. Diane, what are you doing? Proving you how weak the human mind is. Diane raised a hand above her and snapped her fingers, causing the group of obligated men to remain to straighten up like an army at attention. I felt myself tense and catch my breath in response, but I couldn't feel any power over me. Water, massage, another kiss. With each command, the man would separate and fulfill it obediently. I watched as each man became practically a slave to her whim. Diane closed her eyes and let out a pleasurable hum, making my spine tingle again. For some reason, this irritated me beyond belief. Watching her be pampered by enthralled men made something crawl in my chest, something dark. I wanted it to stop. I wanted to stop. I would say that I'm a pervert and I'm quite enjoying this scene. Any means money, but catch a tiger. Hold on. Flip a coin. Heads is that's enough. Bigsby, flip a coin.
I didn't understand that.
Flip a coin.
Alright. It came up heads.
That's enough, Diane. That's enough. Diane and the men around her suddenly looked at me. Diane was a little surprised, but then slightly smirked. Is someone a little jealous? It's not like that. Just stop it. You proved your point. Diane chuckled, making me wince. But she stopped. She wasn't obedient like the boys, so who knew with her? Diane then snapped her fingers, surprisingly, and forcing the men around her to huddle together where they were previously. I have proven my point, haven't I? Oh, well, I guess I got a little carried away. Dan ran a finger over the lower left boob at my face, though. What? You're adorable when you're jealous. Her face turned red instantly, and I covered my cheeks, glaring at Diane. She giggled again before she snapped her fingers, making the room around us fade away into darkness. A mere breath later, we were back in my bedroom with both of us on my bed. Diane stretched her arms up and smiled at me. So, now do you understand the vulnerability of humanity? I gritted my teeth. Humans weren't as weak as she claimed. I couldn't believe it. Just because we were weak didn't mean that we couldn't know about those who were supposedly more powerful than us. I glared at Diane. That justifies ignorance. How does that justify ignorance? Ignorance is the only safety humanity gets. If humans were to know about us, do you know what kind of chaos would occur? For once, I felt scared. Diane's eyes were cold as ice. Stared into my soul, practically giving me a frightening feeling of the future I questioned. There are already wars in the world being fought almost amongst ourselves. Equality, dominance, power. The human world is practically the image of self-chaos. Ignorance, blood is spilled every day in your world. It doesn't matter the color or creed you carry. I think blood is spilled now. It would be much more if humans knew about the otherworldly creatures. Our existence can destroy beliefs in human logic. I felt the world around me go dark as I stared at Diane. Sounds of screaming and battle raged around me, but I kept my eyes to the one person I could see. Was this an illusion? Was this a trick? It didn't feel like it. Religions would crumble, and civil war would clash. Paranoia would be a constant in every human mind, and soon armies will rise up trying to defend humanity without true knowledge of who they were and what we can do. Vampires would be forced to retaliate and build armies of their own. Trust me, not as friendly as vampires. Your human fictional drama. Devils would have to pay day and wreak havoc, finally finding the collective weakness in the human world to exploit. Angels would have to come down and fight their devil rivals, and the human world would become their battlefield. See the world Diane described flash before my eyes. I can see humans screaming and fighting each other, trying to figure out who is what, being frightful with every blink. I imagine devils like Malik's raging cities, killing people while soldiers tried to fight back, failing and dying at every turn. The image was scary and I didn't want to imagine it. I shook my head, holding it in both hands. Before looking to Diane, my room returned. Diane stared back to me. To my surprise, she had a concerned face. The rules are to make sure that we all stay at peace. To have all of us fighting at once would result in a massive cataclysm. That world would engulf everything and everyone, no matter what you do. Diane finally broke away from the gaze she held on me, stared at the far wall. I could see a look of fear rush through her eyes as she looked away from me. I almost felt sorry, but my confusion covered my concern. Demons already have enough on our collective plates. We don't need to become the black backlash victims of broken ignorance. Diane, I promise you I wouldn't tell a single soul about your existence. I am but a woman who just wants to know, who wants to have this fusion of my hair is fucking pissing me off. We have already overextended our time, but I'm actually so enwrapped in this. After like this little sequence, I'll stop it. Diane. Something in Diane's eyes made my heart almost hurt. Even though she wasn't looking at me, I could almost see the emotions that ran in her mind. Just by observing her eyes, I felt bad, terrible even, for questioning her as I did. I was only human after all. However, I felt the need to confront her. Something was going on and Diane was holding it back. Whether or not I learned more by confronting her almost didn't matter. Sly dog, am I? Of course I'm gonna grab the hand. I'm already like... I felt myself gently scoot closer to Anne before laying my hand on hers. Diane stared at me for a brief moment before shaking her head frantically and shutting her eyes tightly. A soft sigh escaped her lips before she looked at me again. She looked again at me with almost a new resolve. I'm sorry, guys. Am I getting messages? Oh. Sorry about that. Diane stared at me for a brief moment before shaking her head frantically and shutting her eyes tightly. A soft sigh escaped her lips before she looked again at me with almost a new resolve. I'm fine. I was merely trying to prove my point. The day then became filled with Diane teaching me about magic. Even when the day ended, I needed some more. I began to crave it. I begged Diane to stay, despite knowing her deal. Diane, despite promising to only stay a day, agreed to stay longer. Tell me more. Soon, days passed by, filled with lessons and examples of magic. Knowing that I would be missed at school, Diane quickly took care of making sure I wasn't missed. Using a simple spell, she called it, she created an illusion of me to go in my place. It was real to humans and acted just like me, but was like a ghost to demons. Kinda wished I would remember that spell. She told me of vampires, creatures that looked just like humans who had an inner heresy, were there were 4 types of vampires, but all of them were under oath by the rule of the worlds not to hunt humans. It was strange, it felt like a fiction novels, but Diane promised that vampires were not like the books. They had adapted to living with humans, creating a formula that would allow them to walk around during the day. They even had a blood bank as currency and made synthetic blood to quench their thirst. They had real blood to drink, of course, but they got it either through hospital blood drives or black market means. It was surreal. Devils were as chaotic as Malik was, but they were still all under the command of a very powerful fallen angel and devil king, Satan. He, however, still had the heart of an angel. He was simply sitting in hell and waiting for an opening into the human world. I hoped it would never come. Angels, on the other hand, were not only as expected. When I thought of angels, I imagined beautiful human-looking creatures with wings and halos. I still wonder who spread that rumor. Diane explained that they already looked monstrous. Even archetype of angels looked different. But Diane couldn't describe them all. The ones that stood out the most to me was the Spearmach, whatever. She described it as a mysterious creature that hid behind 3 large pairs of wings. What if the Serpent did look like a human? Well, anyone who had met a serpent and tried to find out has not lived to spill the secret. I gulped. It was scary to hear that for some reason. Angels were strict and were not as forgiving as many claimed. According to Diane, they had a love-hate relationship with humans, but they didn't try to dominate us. They only became mentors for the rule of the world. Why not? I'd rather not get into that. Why? It's not my place to talk about heaven, only the angels. She also mentioned their methods for memory removal. As a self-proclaimed guardian of the humans, they had the right to baptize humans who held memories of otherworldly creatures, should they find any in the human world. This baptism not only erased the memories of magic, but erased the entire memory clean. Holy fuck. Humans wouldn't remember who they were or who they knew, like countless. Demons, however, unlike the others, were passive creatures that only truly cared for their own world. They had their own lands, kingdoms, and lord living there. The most powerful of demons in the abysmal planes was the demon lord. He was the incubus's boy's father. He was a ruthless man. He had conquered several kingdoms with a massive, indestructible army. Many demons died under his brutality, but when he did conquer, life for demons was like the human renaissance. Many feared what land he would attack next. However, to everyone's surprise, the demon lord had tried to be peaceful with Diane's kingdom as she was offered as a bride to one of his sons. Why would you accept that? I had no choice. I was barely a child when the decision was made, and when I learned of it, I had accepted it. Why though? How could you know you would be in love with a guy you married? It didn't matter. My kingdom would be safe, and I would be able to live with knowing that I was able to protect my kingdom. I stared at Diana as she smiled at me with sad eyes. She really didn't want to marry them. It was practically painted all over her face. It's like the same thing with me, right? I was getting pawned off to someone else. I need to stick with my guns, but that's the last safe spots, right? Shouldn't marry someone. Diane's shaved fist once shifted to one of surprise as she looked at me. I was being honest though. She shouldn't have to marry someone to protect the kingdom. It would be safe, yes, but you would be unhappy. Can you live with yourself knowing that? I'd rather be unhappy than see my kingdom burn to the ground. Besides, as the bride of the next demon lord, I'd have the ability to change things. I could disband his armies, bring peace to abysmal plains. What about love? Love? Diane looked at her lap and sighed. Love can't exist for me. I'm the most powerful succubus in the demon world, and when anyone who would go after me would entranced by my power. I'm not. Oh, she was gonna tell me I was or something. Diane chuckled, making me blush a bit. I was being honest, and here she was laughing at my words. You're a human, dear. Can't know when I'm using my powers or not. Could be using them now, making you interested in me to trust me. But you're not, are you? Diane then silenced herself. She stared at me, knowing that her silence would give me my answers. I smirked again. I smirked at her. You like me? What? I was supposed to stop a long time ago, but I'm so like, how long is this video gonna be? How long is this video gonna be? 36 minutes. Fuck. I need. Okay, after this one, I need to stop. What? You liked me. You definitely like me. I do not. I'm merely fulfilling my end of the deal. I felt like a tease. She was being nice to me and wasn't using her powers over me because she liked me. It was too obvious. You like me, you like me, you like me. What I didn't expect was her taking my hand and forcing me closer to her. A mere inch separated our lips, but Diane stared into my soul, made my mind go blank. I barely remembered what I was saying. Diane remained holding me. I didn't fight. She stared into my soul and I allowed it. I was concerned at the same time. I was intrigued. Diane was indeed a beautiful woman. Seeing her up close made my face turn slightly red in embarrassment. Any moment she could lean in and kiss me. Maybe even take my energy. However, she didn't. You are interesting for a human. She then released me and stared at me, watching as I stared back at her with a red face. Did I like her? I shook my head. No way, that was impossible. We were just in a business deal, nothing more. Is there anything else you wanted to know? I stared at her, as I thought. Was there anything else I wanted to know? My memories were forfeit in the end, so anything was up for grabs. Yet I couldn't think of a single question to ask. Was that all I wished to know? No, there was nothing else I needed to know. I felt satisfied. No, that should be all. I understand. Diane stood and adjusted the bottom of her dress before smiling at me. I barely noticed how much time had passed between us. It felt like forever, yet I enjoyed learning more. I felt bad that I had to lose my memories. However, that was the deal, and according to Diane, demons never go back on their word. Well, if you don't mind, there's one place I need to visit, and I'd rather visit it now rather than after. Take your memories. You'll be gone from the area for quite a while anyways. Huh. Where do you need to go? Cemetery. Something I need to do there. It's boring, sadly, but I need to do it. You need to come with so you can watch. You need to come with so I can watch you. Why did she need to go to a cemetery? Did she have a human friend she needed to say goodbye to? Did she have to meet with another demon? Sure. Let me. No need to get dressed up. Just a brief visit. Diane snapped her fingers. The world melted into black. I stood and walked to be beside Diane, unsure of what was happening. Why wasn't the world spinning instead? Was the world spinning a trick she did? I felt myself click my teeth in irritation of that thought. Soon the world grew back its color, and we were standing in a field I somehow recognized. I looked down and regretted it. At our feet was grandfather's gravestone. It was untouched and as clean as when I last remembered seeing it. Why were we here? Here we are. Here. Stared at Diana as she muttered a small incantation under her breath. In her hands formed a small vase with purple lilacs. She gently knelt down and placed them beside the grave. I had to pay my respects to this man. Why? Are you a friend of his? I need to know. My mind began screaming. Something wasn't right. Why did she know him? How did she know he was dead? What was their relationship and what was going on? No. I wasn't a friend of his. I didn't even know of him. Why am I giving him flowers? My mind began to screech aloud in my head. What was it? Why? Why? Dan, why are you giving him flowers? You don't need to know. I highly doubt you knew this man. Yes, I do. Dan stared wide-eyed at me, a mixture of fear and surprise mixed in her eyes. My heart began to squeeze tightly in my chest. Why was she looking at me like that? How do you know him? Answer my question. How? I said answer my question. I couldn't hold in my voice. I needed to hear her answer, and I didn't want to hear anything else. Anything other than her answer would infuriate me. Diane looked down at the grave, letting out a small sigh. My heart tightened further. Answer me. I need the answer. This man helped the boys come to the human world. He opened a bridge and let them through before sealing it with a part of his life force. There was more. I knew there was more. I remained silent as she took a breath. I had to come to visit their castle one day. And when they told me that the boys were gone, I became frantic. Without a contract marriage, the demon lord would have had the freedom to march on my kingdom and conquer it. I couldn't let that happen. So I tried to find a way here. I searched the castle during my brief visit, trying to find out where the boys went. I found it. This man left behind a small trace of his spell, small enough to be undetected by the inhabitants of the castle. Diane looked at me, and a look of pain on her face that made my already pained heart feel like it was punched by needles. Demon magic is best with consent, but takes more energy when forced. So in a blind need, I recasted the spell and used the man's life force to open the bridge once more and seal it completely when I walked through. I didn't know I was taking the rest of his life. By the time the bridge closed, the man had already passed. She was visiting someone in a nearby hospital, so when I left to find the boys, the staff had found him and tried to revive him. I didn't want to take his life. I thought he was younger. I thought he was a younger man. I didn't know he was as old as he was. It's my fault this man is dead, but I needed to come to the human world, and she was my only chance to get close enough to track the boys down. You. Diane tensed up and stared at me. Her face was painted with regret and sadness. Something not like her usual self. You killed my grandfather. Your grandfather. I'm not going to attack her. Because I understand. Run. I need to leave. I need to go. Quickly turned around, hearing Diane call out for me from behind. Wait. I ran. I didn't look back. I couldn't look back. She started all of this. She was the only one who turned my world upside down. She was the reason for this chaos I was in. She took my grandfather away. I ran through the gates of the cemetery and through the streets to my house. This time the world was in slow motion, and I was the only one in fast forward. I didn't care what was going on around me, I just needed to run. My heart began to freeze in my chest, painted by the feeling of needles and knives piercing through it. Tears were running down my face, but I knew where I was running. I ran through the front gates of my house and sprinted inside. Zipped up the stairs and ran into my room. As I slammed the door behind me, I began to weep violently. I leaned against the door and slid to the ground, crying. My world was crumbling and I didn't like it. My world was broken apart and I didn't want it. All I could do though was cry. My heart denied me from thinking about anything else. I cried. I continued to cry. I let my heart empty of its pain with each tear that ran down my cheeks. Wah! My scream echoed through my room, bouncing around and reverberating into my ear. I didn't care if it hurt to hear it. I didn't care about anything anymore. What I cared about was crying. I didn't even know when I passed out. I didn't remember closing my eyes and letting the darkness take it. Darkness was comforting. I felt my sadness numb within it. There was no reality in that darkness to haunt me or hurt me. I wanted to stay within it forever. However, my body forced me to open my eyes. I saw the room focus around me. And I realized what I was staring at. That I was staring at the ceiling. I was in bed under my covers. I sat up, looking around, stopping to see Diane leaning against the balcony window, looking away from me. Why was she here? Did she carry me to bed? I felt my anger wanting to speak out against Diane, but I noticed the puffiness around her visible eye. Had she been crying? Seeing her bloodshot, puffy eyes made me fully aware of my own eyes and how dried they had become after crying. I opened my eyes and let out a shaky sigh. I'm sorry. I stared at Diane. My heart didn't want to hear it, but I let her speak. I didn't want to come here in the first place. I only thought of bringing the boys back to protect my kingdom, so everything else became secondary. I didn't mean to take his life. But you did. I did. Can't ask for forgiveness, but I'm still sorry. If I could turn back time, I would find another way. I know. It's because of you that I met the boys. Huh? I looked to my blanket-covered lap. I remembered the funeral, the meeting with the boys. Everything came at me at once, and now I had the one puzzle piece that fitted all together. My grandfather hadn't died. He'd still be living here, and he'd be the one taking care of the boys instead of me, but he died and gave me his estate. So I came and met them for the first time. I looked to Diane, seeing her sad face. I can tell she really regretted her choice, and she was upset. I couldn't sense any deception in her. I guess I have to thank you for introducing me to them to the magic, since my grandfather couldn't do it himself anyway. Diane looked down, pressing her lips together and closing her eyes. I need to take your memories now. A deal is a deal. I fulfilled my part and told you everything. I had nothing left to tell you, and you can't keep those memories. I didn't speak. I watched this day and argued into the air about taking my memories. I felt like she was now doubting the deal, not wanting to take away the truth from me. Did I want her to? This was my chance to return to ignorance. I'd never remember that she took my grandfather's life. I'd never remember anything she showed and taught me. I'd return to normalcy. Of course I don't want her to take my memories away. I feel like I'm at the end of the game for some reason. I have a feeling... I want to continue playing. I don't care if this episode is longer than usual. I don't even care if this episode is going to be an hour. I want to continue. Don't. Dan stared at me, a look of almost despair in her eyes. I, however, kept my eyes on her. You took away my grandfather. What gives you the right to take my memories away? But not done speaking. Dan shut her mouth, listening obediently. I needed to speak my mind. She had no right to take anything away. I knew the truth now. That was all that mattered to me. Screw the rules. I deserve to remember everything. I was thrown into this mess because of you. No one has the right to take anything away from me. Dan took a step towards me. I was ready to snap at her. However, she gently leaned over and ran a hand over my head. Alright. What? Like, how surprised she was. What? I won't take away your memories. I stared at her in shock. Was she serious? Dan smiled at me and stood back up. You're right. You deserve to know everything. It's the least I can do. I felt almost joyful. She agreed with me. This was a huge deal. I still didn't forgive Diane, but it was better to know than to be left in ignorance. Eventually, I would be able to move on. Until then, Dan was willing to stay and teach me the life my grandfather knew in redemption. It was something. Back to sleep, and I'll teach you more in the morning. Stay a few more days until you know everything. Something felt off, but I nodded, feeling exhaustion drift over me again. Was it natural? Didn't know. My hand began to spin, and I needed more rest. Diane gently laid me down to get back down and moved hair from my face. Rest. As if from a spell, I closed my eyes and fell back into unconscious darkness. My heart was healing, and it would take time to heal. Thankfully, I had time now to heal, to grow stronger. Diane obeyed my word and stayed with me. She showed me so much already and stayed with me for a good week. Within that time frame, she not only taught me everything she could, but also assisted me in learning some of my own hidden magic. I could barely believe it. I had demon magic flowing through my veins, and I could use it at any time. If I had learned about how to use my powers earlier, I could have been as strong as a demon. Diane explained that humans who learn of demon magic attract demon energy and have the potential to use some of it, just like demons, but their full power can only be unlocked in the demon world. Being that my grandfather spent almost his entire life learning about the demon magic his energy carried through my father, then to me, then my dad. When my dad left my grandfather, his energy diminished. But when I came to the home, mine began to grow. According to Diane, I shouldn't have as much energy as I had. I guess I was lucky. Everything was fascinating. I felt waves of excitement and energy run through my body. I was aware of the energy I held in the magic around me. I could even sense Diane's energy, as powerful as it was. One night, however, as I slept, Diane began to waver. What am I doing? I heard Diane mutter, waking me from my sleep. I opened my eyes and peeked over my covers to see Diane looking out the window. She looked tired and restless. I need to get the boys and return home. My kingdom is in danger. Ugh. Maybe I should call an angel. Heart first. She could call on an angel. That would baptize me and make me forget everything. I panicked, but I heard Diane sigh. She makes sense. Why should I marry to protect my kingdom? Should be able to, well, would I? Ugh. Me against the demon lord's entire army? I'm not that strong. Slowly sat up, looking to Diane still. She seemed to only focus her attention out the window, unfazed at my bruising. Damien. Huh, she's strong though. The magic in our veins would win me this war. Ugh, but I can't take her magic. I care for her too much. But she's just a human, but I think you meant to say Diane. Diane sighed and opened the window. I need to leave. I have to fight him on my own. I'll use the rest of my energy and get back and hopefully recover when I get there. Hope he hasn't already attacked or is ready for me. Diane stepped out to leave the window and stood above me. Was she really going to hurry and leave? What about me? Is she going to leave? What about teaching me everything? My curiosity was peaking again, and I needed her here. I don't know what drew me to her, but I quickly rushed over to the bed and ran to the balcony. Wait! Dan turned around and stared at me in surprise. However, she tightened her hand into a fist and turned back around. I want to go back to bed. I need to go. But you need to go. I'll be back someday, but I need to protect my kingdom. Without the boys, he'll attack at any time. I need to prepare myself instead of waste my time here. I couldn't believe it. She was really wanting to leave. I overheard her. She wasn't confident about winning. She probably couldn't if she was as powerful as she claimed. I'd never see her again. Take care of those memories while I'm gone. I need to keep them a secret at all costs. If angels find you, they'll take me with me. Couldn't believe what came out of my mouth. Dan turned to me, also surprised at my words. What? Couldn't deny myself. I needed to fulfill this curiosity, and if Diane was going, I was going with her. If I was with her, maybe she could win her fight, and then come back to the human world with me. An adventure. My heart felt giddy for some reason at the thought. Take me with you. I overheard you. I have the power to help you win the reward. Help you, and then you'll come back with me and teach me everything. But I don't deserve your help. I demand it. It's a deal, demon. Dan straightened up, staring at me in disbelief. I almost couldn't recognize in my own voice. Redemption for my grandfather's life. You will take me with you and teach me everything. I will then win your war, and in return you will return with me to the human world and continue teaching me until I have learned everything. Diane stared. I couldn't tell what was going on in her mind. Was she angry, sad, surprised? As Diane crossed her arms and smiled, I felt the wave of relief wash over me. Tongue of ice, everyone faced with danger. Diane then looked at me and held out her hand. Come then. Help me open the portal and I'll take you with me. I nodded and placed my hand in Diane's. For some reason, it felt nice to touch her hand like this. She was going to take me on an adventure, and I could never forget. She then gently pulled me to her. Both of us began to float up towards the night sky. Diane's embrace seemed safe, and I felt better being in it than out of it. Sorry, grandfather. Diane looked down at me and ran a hand over my cheek. I don't know how much this means to me. I nuzzled into Diane's hand and closed my eyes. Diane gently lowered her hand to my waist, staring down at me as I opened my eyes. You intrigue me. I giggled. Don't you mean seduce me? Ah! It's the name of the game! Suduce Me the Otome. Diane chuckled and grinned at me. Yes, you seduce me. I smiled before gently reaching up and kissing Diane softly. She stared surprised before closing her eyes and gently returning my kiss. There was no pull of energy, no warm, fuzzy enthrallment. It was a simple kiss. It was the one kiss I felt was perfect to start my adventure with. The sky began to melt into darkness as Diane and I kissed each other. It wasn't heated or passionate, yet the kiss spoke many languages to me. Diane liked me and came to care just a little for me. Was this the start of something? Maybe it was too early to tell. Maybe we'd find romance in the demon world, maybe not. I still had the 100 battles to face, 1,000 memories to make, a million stories to write. However, this was the change I needed in my life. So I left everyone in the human world to go on an adventure in the, regular world. Although they don't know that they're spending time with like a maid that doesn't exist, but it's alright. That was a good game. I thought there was much more.
Innocence,
There's fucking music.
Did you get your way? Sing your sweet
Such a good song.
melody.
This was a good game. I love this game. This was such a fucking good game.
Of the choices that you made. Go on, chase the morning with your heart. The worst
Congratulations.
is over now.
You guys made it.
You're moving on.
Good shit.
'Cause in the end, when your
I forgot to
story
have
is
voices
over,
on.
then you'll love the
I turned it down for
path
the
you
voices.
walked on all along. Fly high, let your fingers touch the sky. Your journey's far from over. There's a million stories left to write. Be free to explore the life you seek, to embrace the love you carry. Know the choices that you made were right.
I know I say this over. This is by far like
Inside, don't let the pain take over your life. Soon you will see that you are free.
Amazing Kickstarter.
Take the future in your hands now. It's in your sight. Go on. There's no better time to start. Your path is clearer now, urging you on. Don't be afraid. All the fear inside will fade. The trials that you face will make you strong. Fly high, feel the wind blow as you fly. Your journey's not yet over. There's 100 battles left to fight. Be free to be who you want to be. Love, you have just one life only. Know the choices that you make are right. Let your fingers touch the sky. Your journey's far from over. There's a million stories left to write. Be free to explore the life you seek, to embrace the love you carry. Know the choices that you made.
Good shit.
were
Good fucking shit. Might can't say that word. Can't say that name. Good shit, Lost. That was a good game. I loved it. I loved every single bit of it. I forgot there's the bonus part at the end. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that. That'll be it for today. This will be the end of the regular game. I'll do like the shit. What's it called? I'll do like the actual like bonus ending, like bonus stuff at the end, here in a bit, like 2 days from now maybe, I don't know. I have a bunch of videos lined up that I want to do. I recently bought a game. Anyways, guys, yes, I recently bought a couple of games that I would like to play on the thing. Like, you already saw me play Spore. I want to play some more of that. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was such a good game. I love this game. Yes, I love this game. This is a nice game. But yeah, you guys should definitely play it on your own. As you see, there's a whole lot of endings. You might like see things that I haven't seen, you know. And also with the voice acting, you should definitely turn on voice acting. Like, actually, I kind of want to hear what they sound like a little bit. I just want to see.
Why?
Whoops. Hold up. New game.
Why, hello. My, aren't you a gorgeous sight? Can I be honored enough to know your name? A lovely name. For a lovely...
But yeah, you should definitely play this, like, you know, like, listen to all, like, the cool voice acting and stuff. But yeah, I hope you guys, like this video. I hope you guys comment, rate, subscribe, do all that cool shit. See you guys in the next video. Peace. Forgot to end the video.